This is Aleppo. Only 3 years ago, it was one of the largest, richest, and most prosperous cities of Syria and the entire Middle East. A once powerful bridge connecting East and West was also home to thousands of Armenians for centuries.
What does the inscription say? God is great.
لبيك 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 يا الله.
براءة المسلحين من رب العالمين.
كتيبة غرباء الشام.
This is a fact that they passed through here.
This city, that is older than Rome, has been dear to Armenians, who even believe that the famous fortress of Aleppo was built by David of Sassoon, a hero of the Armenian national epic, Daredevils of Sassoon, who also hung his huge cudgel over its tower. It has been for more than 2 years, however, that another huge cudgel hanging over Aleppo, the city, has been engulfed in a civil war, caught in the middle of the struggle between opposition and government forces. In this community that used to be one of the most prosperous and organised in the Armenian diaspora, thousands of Armenians today have to wage their own struggle for life, bread and tranquility.
I was about to sit on this couch. As I opened the door, I felt a powerful thrust. Then an explosion occurred. The window frame and broken glass fell on me as I was thrust away. I wanted to get away, but this door also fell upon me. I don't know how I managed to escape. I was at home alone. It was God's miracle that I survived. Young men from downstairs were calling me, but I had no strength to answer them. I was really more afraid for them. It is good that they were outside, otherwise they would have been torn to pieces.
Is this a deserted district? It is actually the front line. The situation here is very bad at night.
It was my birthday. I got up in the morning. There was a big surprise in store for me that day, at 7:10 a.m. I thought something had fallen on my head. The building was shaken. I quickly ran inside. Glass had been broken. I saw that all the doors, the TV set, had been on the floor. In every room that I entered, the situation was awful. It was a very unpleasant feeling. My cousin called me to congratulate me on my birthday. She asked me how I had spent my birthday. I said, this year it was an exceptional one. I have never had such a birthday before. She asked if I celebrated it well. I said very well. I had a great present sent to me.
War has emptied the once crowded Aleppo. This emptiness is everywhere. The well-known new village district of Aleppo is in ruins. It has been abandoned by its residents. Once one could hear Armenian speech almost in every yard. The Sup Gevorg church, built here last century, was the centre of the place for decades. Now it is a place of burnt walls and rare manuscripts ruined by fire. Armenians are trying to maintain neutrality. Bomb explosions are occurring everywhere and sniper shots do not discriminate between ethnicities. The war in Syria claims thousands of human lives every month. More than 100 ethnic Armenians have already become victims of the hostilities.
خليك هلا دق لسه هلا دق شوف الابيض على الحيط فوق 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 راسك فوق راسك فوق راسك هون ايه فوق الارما شفت هلا ضرب هنا الزرقاء بس قانانش بعدين
بعدين بوشين قانانش بعدين لا
The first ethnic Armenian killed in the Syrian war was 24-year-old Vigen Hayrapetyan. He was killed in the army in the line of duty. News about the young man's death spread throughout the Armenian community within hours, causing many to start packing up. About a year ago, Vigen's family came to Yerevan, leaving behind what is now dearest to them, their son's grave.
After that tragedy, after our great loss, when we lost our Vigen, we no longer wanted our sons to stay there. We especially wanted to save Arman from being drafted into the army. Mofses was already a physician working for the state, and there were a lot of problems around his district hospital. So we wanted to get out of there by all means because it was dangerous. My heart now longs to be close to my son's grave in Aleppo.
Armenians, whose ancestors a century ago were deported from their homes in Ottoman Turkey and driven all the way through the Deir ez-Zor desert to build their lives anew after surviving hell, had to flee their homes and embark on a road of emigration again, this time towards their homeland. Every day, hundreds of Armenians from Aleppo arrive at Yerevan Varsnots airport. The tears in the eyes of the Syrian Armenians landing in Armenia are not those of joy. They are tears with which they mourn the loss of their native city, Aleppo.
Our husbands are there. They have to work so we can live there. Until recently, it was good. We managed to avoid problems. It was calm where we lived. But today, the situation has deteriorated. It is very difficult. There are special drivers who risk their lives giving you a ride. They rely upon God, as they may be killed on the road. Simply, they charged a lot for the service. While before they would give you a ride to the airport for just $6, now they charge $150.
Armenia for now is only a spiritual homeland, perhaps dear, but definitely unknown. They miss their streets, schools, churches and libraries back in Aleppo, and perhaps will still have this nostalgic feeling for some time. After the start of the war in Syria, within just 2 years, about 13,000 Armenians moved to Armenia. Syrian Armenians went to Armenia together with their families, often with hastily packed suitcases, without acquaintances in Armenia and without any hope of finding a job. The Armenian government has faced serious problems even without the Syrian Armenians, but it is making slow progress. In conditions of widespread unemployment, it is particularly difficult for Syrian Armenians to find jobs in their historic homeland. Some of them still remain unemployed.
We can't find any job.
How do you live?
We live off our savings.
But one day your savings will run out.
They will. If it continues like this, whether it's war or not, if we want it or not, whether we go to Syria, Aleppo, it's circumstances that have forced us to come here, so we expect to get some help. I get a lot of phone calls from people inquiring about how I'm doing here, what business I've started, asking if I could advise them to come or not. How the country accepts the Syrian Armenians, I cannot present it as all perfect, nor can I present it as all doom and gloom. Psychologically, Armenia is ready to accept Armenians, but it has no system for that. How many months and years can we survive if we get no jobs, if there's no money, but I must keep my child? How long can we go on like this? This is the biggest concern. But despite all this, if I know that I will have a minimum livelihood, I would prefer living here, in my homeland, raising this child here.
Despite all the difficulties, many Syrian Armenians have managed to set up their own businesses in Armenia. So far, the Armenian government has provided soft loans to only about 30 Syrian Armenians who want to set up their own business. Most have to solve their problems by themselves.
In Syria, we were engaged in textile production. In 1967, my father set up a factory there. I hope I can settle down and expand my business here. We have acquaintances abroad, people who live in Europe, America. There are people who also want to come here and engage in manufacturing. Now they are watching us from there to see how successful our business here proves so that they too can come here and engage in manufacturing. We want to have production here so that we don't need to import a lot of goods from other countries and so that we can work.
Salbi's husband was called Koko in Aleppo. He continues to introduce himself to people by this name in Yerevan as well. But his name was not the only thing he brought from Aleppo to Yerevan. With him, he also brought the secret and skills of making the best lahmacun. Together with his son Kaitsak, he continues to do here what he had done in Aleppo for years.
It's ready, enjoy it.
I worked together with my son. There we did 10 times as much work. We had a larger facility, we had automated equipment. Here we have to do almost everything by hand. We have 20 years of experience. True, there are some procrastinations here connected with the tax authorities, registration, etc. But if we don't do anything, who will give us money? We should earn a living with our own labor. If we don't work, who will give us money? It's normal that sometimes we can exchange a few words with each other or use some words in a sentence in Arabic. It's normal. But in general, we speak in Armenian. It's like French Armenians using French, Armenians in Armenia using Russian. We can also use some Arabic words in our sentences. For example, we can say yalla. We use this word a lot. The business environment is still in the making in Armenia. Some complain that there are no jobs, but there will be everything. But gradually, not quickly, within one day.
Frankly, I miss my home very much, because I had put my effort into building it. I grew up there, but while living there, I was longing for Armenia. Now that I'm here, I also miss my home, my friends. But for years we lived there, longing for Armenia. We had the love for our motherland there. We dreamed of going to our motherland.
The next most preferred destination for Syria's ethnic Armenians fleeing the war is neighbouring Lebanon. According to official data, 10,000 Armenians have moved from Syria to Lebanon. The Syrian Armenians who moved to Lebanon mainly settled down in Burj Hamud.
There was no full-scale war. It was just beginning. We thought we would go and come back. It was in the summer. We came here, and the situation in Syria turned even more violent, so we decided to stay here. Now it's already a year that we've been here.
Of course, it is difficult to leave your home and everything behind and leave overnight without preparations with little kids. You can still talk the elder ones into going, but you can't do it with the little ones. They don't want to leave behind their toys, their beds.
Becoming part of Burj Hamud's active trade life, Armenians open dining places, attend Armenian clubs, sell olives, and adding their Armenian tricolours to those already hanging out over balconies. Like in Aleppo, they can hear Armenian speech here everywhere. They communicate with Armenians, get an Armenian education, and dream about Armenia.
I don't like it in this country. I stayed in Armenia for a month and a half. Armenia is more preferable to me.
Why don't you go there then?
My daughters found jobs here. There's a factory here, a bakery. They found jobs and stayed here, so I also had to return to Aleppo. Armenia is our primary goal, but it depends on whether we can find jobs there or not. Also, we're connected to our homes and property in Syria.
I have a lot of relatives who moved to Armenia. Are they happy? They are, but there are difficulties with jobs there. Even if they do manage to find jobs, their salaries are low.
When the situation deteriorated, we decided to go to Armenia. But, unfortunately, there was no way to travel there, so we went to Lebanon.
Here, as in Aleppo, the day begins with news from Armenia, as people hear the latest from those who have come and gone from Armenia. But the peace of this temporary asylum also seems relative.
Lebanon is not quite secure either. Our work here is temporary.
Many of the Syrian Armenians who fled the war in Syria could not just leave all their property behind and thus become hostages to the continuing war. The war is still spreading death and devastation, but life goes on in Aleppo.
With our neighbors, we live like one big family. We have no electricity, but during evenings we all gather in our apartment or in a neighbor's apartment to have dinners together. Our kids play with each other, so we almost don't feel like we live in war conditions.
We have a lot of difficulties living here. There's no security in here, but we try to live on.
Good neighbors, welcome to our home.
Staying here is our duty. We've chosen to stay in this building because we've always liked our neighbors and have been proud of them.
Our young men guard the place. They prevent every danger. If something happens somewhere, they are the first to run there, such as to help putting out fires after missile attacks.
The young people are doing much work. They have night watches. At night they take people who feel bad to the hospital. This is great work that we must remember.
At times, there were few people attending the church mass. Now, thank God, people live in this neighborhood and they regularly go to church.
It is incredible to see in this city hundreds of children attending school despite the dangers. A whole generation of Armenian children who have anxiety mixed with joy and childish delight in their eyes is growing up amidst war.
Yerevan is the capital of Armenia. Armenia is our beloved motherland.
People here are not particularly nice to us.
Why?
Because of our hairstyle, our image. We like having stylish haircuts, but they don't. We travel around the country, go to Lake Sevan, go to swimming pools.
What about work?
Everyone is looking for a job, but there are no vacancies. There are very few jobs.
Will you stay in Armenia?
This is a very good city, but there are no jobs here. There are very few jobs here. This year, I'm going to enter university. Before I graduate, I'll decide whether I stay here or in Syria. We will build Armenia, but we'll also build Syria. We'll build both. After all, this is our homeland.
Sure.
A district called New Aleppo is being built in the town of Ashtarak, which is not far from Yerevan. The government and Aleppo Armenians hope that this new district, with comfortable apartments, will rise in this yet empty and unsightly area, a district that will symbolize a new life in the historic homeland. As many as 500 families, Syrian Armenians who have relocated to Armenia, intend to live in this district.
When the buildings are constructed, I'm sure they will also build a school for the new Aleppo district. I think it'll be good.
They told us that it would be a very good place. It will be a new district. The nature around here is very beautiful. We hope to have our own house here with a good garden. We'll plant a lot of greenery. We didn't have it in Aleppo. Here we need to have a car, as it is a 15-minute ride to the town. It will also be good to have a parking garage.
We don't want much. All we want is to have a normal life. There are a lot of people who once were rich, but we have to start everything from scratch now.
For the first time in 2 decades of post-Soviet history, Armenians are returning home. Thousands of Syrian Armenians now return to their historic homeland out of necessity, to avoid war. It is not clear yet whether they will get as attached to their homes, streets and towns in Armenia as they were in Syria. And how will we treat our compatriots?
We already once turned Aleppo into a beautiful city, but if we stay here, we'll be delighted to turn this new one into an even better place.
Deskatari Jardi Karin Pes Marmin Eskapukhri Jardi Alrin Pes Yerpidilo Sana Kishendari Pes Tesneidera Khachilo Sani Yepidilo sana kishendari pes Tesneide khachilo sani pes Tesnem kasei zerkis vartetam Varte vur charne Uski khandur da khandur vor charne mazes kashem da anal vor charne ukis kashem da khandur vor charne mazes kashem da anal Charne, ukis kashem da